What's up, y'all? Little bonus episode, or I guess I should say makeup episode of the show here today, because I couldn't get to an episode last night running around again to kids' activities. And I also needed to kind of rest. I've been running ragged since WrestleMania, and my voice was really hoarse and the like. So I wanted to give it a night to recover, and I wasn't like compelled to jump on. So I hope you guys understand. As always, the schedule of the show will evolve a little bit as it goes along. And as I've said, as I figure out the formula, but one thing I do want to provide is consistency, especially now this is available as an audio podcast as well. So a lot I want to get to on today's show. I want to start with the NBA, though. When in doubt, I'll go with LeBron James. That's been a good formula for me in my career. The most successful things I've ever done in my career are really evolved or revolve around LeBron James. And it's funny because I'm turning on some of the debate shows today, or I'm not even turning them on. Here's how people consume some of that stuff. I'm scrolling through my timeline, and I see all these comparisons of the Warriors and the Lakers and where they're at in the standings. And to be honest with you, it doesn't really matter. I don't really care that much. I know that's the antithesis of what I should be saying, but having been an NBA fan my whole life, one thing I understand is games right now don't really matter. Of course, it matters for the standings in the play-in tournament, right? But like the Knicks beat the Celtics last night, and I see everybody losing their mind about it. Who cares? At this point in the season, who cares? We could talk about Jalen Brunson and his possible MVP case a little bit later in the show if you guys want to. But to me, late March, early April NBA results are completely and totally irrelevant. Now, they're not irrelevant for the Lakers and the Warriors in the sense of the play-in tournament and where that will ultimately shake out, because the Kings, the Lakers, and the Warriors all have the exact same record right now. And of course, there's a big difference between being 8 or being 9 and 10, right? But here's the thing. Because it's LeBron and because it's Steph, people act like there's some huge stakes here, when really the positive is that they're going to be in the play-in tournament and they're going to get at least one game, right? That's the plus side of this. That, they're not going away. They're not riding off into the sunset immediately. They're going to have a chance. So that's the bonus. That's why the play-in tournament has been a good idea for the NBA. But the other aspect of it, like pretending that it really matters for LeBron and Steph, because first of all, neither team is winning the championship. I think we can go ahead and say that rather safely at this point in time. Neither the Los Angeles Lakers nor the Golden State Warriors will be winning the NBA championship this year. I am fairly confident in that statement. Now, I guess you can never count either of those guys out, which is part of the premise of what I'm discussing right now. But at the same time, let's be real about it. Their records wouldn't be what they are. They wouldn't be where they are right now if we thought they were winning the title or something like that. Not happening. However, of course, they're going to bring interest. But it's almost phony to hear people try to drum up some sort of drama around them. Because LeBron James is, 40 years old? 39 years old? 21 seasons in the NBA? All-time leading scorer? Has won a title with 3 different teams? Has been to the NBA Finals 10 times in his NBA career, including 9 out of 10 times? Is in the GOAT debate, if not the GOAT. I say LeBron James is the GOAT. So to act as if losing right now would cost him in any way, shape, or form is just silly. There is no downside for LeBron James right now. Zero downside. Nothing negative could possibly happen for him and the remainder of his career. Can't happen. Everything is icing on the cake. There's no such thing as a downside for LeBron James at this point in time. No such thing. Can't happen. Won't happen. Isn't going to happen. So what are you going to say? What are you going to say? And the same thing goes for Stephen Curry. The same thing goes for Stephen Curry, who is in the same conversations, in the same breath, at the same table. You know, he might not be in the GOAT debate necessarily. Like one more championship would probably put Steph in the GOAT debate. But there's no other possible way to look at this other than these guys have already done what they need to do in their career. So, I mean, I know that's not like some profound point. I wasn't even sure, whether to lead with that or not, because I got a lot of stuff I want to cycle through today. But I did figure I'm known for talking LeBron. So, and I'm doing a wrestling show later tonight. So I, figured I'd mix it up at the top of this show a little bit. Joshua Ben Arroyo says, Lakers and Warriors have objectively failed Bron and Steph if they are locked into 9 and 10. I mean, it also, you can't say that about the Warriors. You can't say that about the Warriors. The Warriors put together a dynastic level team around Steph Curry. It's just all those dynasties eventually run their course. They don't last forever. They don't go forever. Those sort of things aren't, they're not forever. Draymond Green, Klay Thompson. They got Kevin Durant. The Warriors have not failed Steph Curry in any way, shape, or form imaginable. No one's failed anybody. It's just they ran out of time. I mean, when you look at every stop LeBron has had in his career, he's 4 years in Miami, and that runs its course, right? He's 4 years in Cleveland, and that runs its course. You go back to the Bulls, even with Michael Jordan, people don't realize it, but the Bulls run probably ran its course too. Michael, in a way, he benefited so much from taking that break when probably that's when everything would have hit the wall. Why else do you think he left? I mean, well, we know why else he might have left. I don't mean to come off course there. We obviously know what happened with his father and other things. So it's not, I'm not trying to take a shot at Michael Jordan. I'm not trying to take a shot. I just mean when the Bulls probably ran up against that proverbial wall is when Michael Jordan went and took a rest and took a break away from the game. And he came back refreshed with a new team to play with and a new run. And guess what? Then he left again when it probably was about at its end. They don't call it the last dance for nothing. Now, LeBron and the Lakers is a little bit of a different story because the thing about the Lakers is before LeBron got there, they were a mess for a long, long time. They were a mess for a long, long time. And then after LeBron leaves, they'll probably be a mess again. And in the meantime, he's the thing that's propped them up. But they did win an NBA championship. So I don't think, people can try and discredit it and call it a bubble championship and everything like that. But they won it. And it can't be taken away. It can't be taken away. So I'm not going to diss. Look, I don't think they've done a spectacular job, but this is what happens when guys get to this point in their career. In fact, we should really be looking at it the other way. Like, how in the world are we still talking about players like this at this phase? Because no one has ever done what LeBron is doing right now at this phase of a career. It's unprecedented. And Steph just won a couple years ago. So, again, anything they do at this point is icing on the cake, is gravy. There should be no criticism of either. And I say that again, they've been rivals or whatever you want to call them at various points. But there's nothing negative to say about either LeBron James or Steph Curry. Got to move on from that and that crush. Now, I did see some discussion about the Knicks last night, really quickly before I move on to the other topics. I mean, Jalen Brunson is the MVP. It's not going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen because that award's going to come down to Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic. The Nuggets being in first place is a good case for Jokic, obviously. Luka has been knocking on that door. I'm not saying, Jalen Brunson probably deserves first team All NBA this year. And I'm a big fan of what Jalen Brunson has brought to the Knicks. But I say this not to be a dick. With a grain of salt, you have to take results at this point in the NBA season. The Knicks beating the Celtics last night is completely meaningless. It means nothing. It does. It just means nothing. It has nothing to do with the playoffs, how the playoffs might shake out, anything like that. Just irrelevant. I've just seen it too many times, guys. We always say wait till the playoffs, and then we have all this discourse before the playoffs start and act like it matters. Brunson, though, has proven himself to be a top-tier NBA player, way better than anybody imagined he was going to be, a bargain on his contract, a leader, a number one, all these things. I flowers to Jalen Brunson. He's just not going to win the MVP, not going to happen. And the Knicks beating the Celtics last night doesn't matter. No one will care in a week or two. It all depends on how the standings shake out. Kevin Zwicker says Bron and Steph made men. If their teams go 0-82 the rest of their career, they are first ballot Hall of Famers. Forget first ballot Hall of Famers, right? They are like, in the inner sanctum of the Hall of Fame. You remember the Saturday Night Live has the Five Timers Club where they wear the smoking jackets if they get into the Five Timers Club? Well, Steph and LeBron have the smoking jackets in the Hall of Fame, right? Like they're not normal Hall of Famers. LeBron's the GOAT. The three best basketball players I've ever seen are LeBron James, Michael Jordan, and Steph Curry. That's just me, but those are the three best basketball players I've ever seen. So, I mean, I don't think there's anything else to say about that. So those are the basketball topics I thought I'd hit off the top. Knicks fans, if you want to come in and support your guy, Jalen Brunson, or tell me I'm wrong, that their win against the Celtics didn't really mean anything, feel free. I mean, to finish third in the East is a heck of an accomplishment for New York. It really is, especially when you take into account the injuries that they've had. Now, I think the injuries could catch up to them in the playoffs, and Tom Thibodeau's teams have a habit of this where they tend to play much better in the regular season, or let's just say they exceed any expectations. They maximize themselves in the regular season. So with Thibodeau, we'll see how that works out. Joshua Benora back in here says, how much pressure is on Kevin Durant at this point in his career to win a title? Some. I'm not going to say a ton. You could see the KD tweet exchange I had back there. Kevin Durant has already solidified himself as one of the greatest basketball players of all time. He's a top 15-ish player, I would say, right now. Now, if he doesn't win a title away from Golden State, I don't think he can ever be in that same conversation as LeBron and Steph. If he wins a title away from Golden State, then he can work his way into that conversation. Brooklyn was a chance for KD to really establish an identity, for KD to really, have a team of his own. That was his opportunity in Brooklyn. And he really played awesome in the 2021 playoffs. You have to give KD credit for that. He really, really played awesome in that playoffs. That series against the Bucks, he was incredible. But everybody knew he was going to win championships with the Warriors. Everybody knew that. That was not a surprise. That was what is known as a fait accompli, something that is guaranteed to happen. So while those championships still count, and while he still played great in those runs, they don't hold the same weight as other titles. So if Kevin Durant never wins a title away from Steph Curry's team, away from the Warriors, it doesn't knock him down from where he is, because where he is already an all-time great player. But it prevents him from going up a level. It prevents him from going up a notch. And that's what I would say about the pressure for KD to win a championship. And by the way, the Phoenix Suns are in that play-in spot right now as well. So you know, that's got to be considered disappointing. As disappointing as the Nets season has been, and it's certainly been disappointing, it's got to be disappointing that Kevin Durant and the Suns, with all they did, pushing all their chips into the middle of the table, have just wound up in the play-in tournament. Now, you can still win from the play-in tournament, but it's the hell of an uphill climb. Let's put it that way. All right, let's move on to some of the other topics I wanted to get to today, including the rap game. Drake under fire, as I've been saying. Look, I'm waiting for the Drake response. He has to respond now. You've got to give the guy some time. I'm not trying to be unfair. Because Drake he's gone back and forth. He's gone back and forth with people before. It's not like he hasn't sparred before. But we know he bowed out of the Pusha T battle. And he's been almost eerily quiet in this Kendrick Lamar showdown. Because all these other guys piling on, whatever. Weeknd taking shots. A$AP Rocky taking shots. Metro and Future naming the project We Don't Trust You. J. Cole showing up on the project. When J. Cole recorded that, he probably had no idea. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen the documentary on it. But when J. Cole recorded that song, he probably didn't realize this was going to happen. That Kendrick was going to be on the first version and that, he was switching sides, if you will, after going at Kendrick and then backing out. The real battle here is Drake and Kendrick. And Kendrick came with the punch right to the face, with the headshot. Like that, like it or not, is an iconic record with an iconic verse from Kendrick Lamar, who belongs in the same ring as Drake. I mean, I would argue is better than Drake. I would argue his albums are better. I would argue he's more creative, more ambitious, all these things. But he cannot be dismissed in the way some Drake fans would dismiss, lesser competition because of Drake's stature in the game, which that is something you can never take away from him. He is a bona fide superstar. But he's now dealing with somebody in his weight class who punched him in the face. And he's got to get up and swing back. That's just a matter of fact. My guy, Kevin, is here.
What's up, bro?
Yo, what up, man? I know. See, I'm fair, right? Like, I hit you up before the show to tell you I'd be talking about this. I know you're a Drake guy and an AEW guy. So if we get to the AEW thing, I'll pull you back in for that. But I wanted to give Drake's fans a voice on the show because I don't want to just come off like I'm hating on the guy. What did you think of what I just said?
First of all, I want to give a picture to the people of how big of a fan I am. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Humongous fan.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I think that a tattoo is absolutely a major sign of fandom.
Yeah. But, dude, this is the LeBron effect, man. This is KD joining the Warriors. This is the guys on the Clippers clicking up. These are all these guys trying to take down the LeBron of the rap game, the GOAT, the great one, the guy who's been putting the game on his back for almost 15 plus years. This is what's going on, man.
So I would say that against everybody. I would say everybody else, that's a fair point. They're ganging up. They're taking shots but that's not the same thing as with Kendrick. Because Kendrick has not been afraid in the past. He came out on Control. He came out and said, smoking on top fives tonight. He said, but a rapper with a ghostwriter, Kendrick has repeatedly going at Drake, and Kendrick is not some lightweight. Like you can't
He's not.
dismiss Kendrick.
I'm not, man. I'm not saying Kendrick's a scrub, but I give this argument to people all the time. Drake has lapped his like the current generation, his generation of guys. He's lapped them so many times by how big of a success is that I only view a guy like Jay-Z or a Nas or some of the guys who people put on the pantheons of great as somebody who's on his level.
Kendrick is bigger than Nas now, I would say. Like if you look at, I mean, Jay is one thing. We all know, like, and people will reference Jay's verse to Drake on Light Up, and Hov is one thing. I think it's like, you know, of that generation, it's Hov and M really are the big like titans. Biggie and Pac before that, maybe Wayne since then, who's on, you know, the sort of the level. But I don't, and this is not a disrespect to Nas. Nas is an all-time great MC artist. But I think when you look at commercial success and critical success now, Kendrick's probably a bigger artist than Nas.
I don't think people are going to like you saying that.
But I think it's true. I think it's true.
But honestly, dude, I think Drake will respond. It's not going to be due to public pressure, though, or people saying, hey, you know, it's been this amount of hours, this amount of days and stuff. I think the fact that he's been quiet for so long is kind of deafening. I feel like that means something is brewing, but it's going to drop when people don't expect. You know, what I've noticed, you know, being a fan is when people say, oh, there's a rumor this album's supposed to drop tonight, or it's a rumor that this song or this is going to happen. It never happens. It always happens when people aren't expecting it to happen. So I'm not going to give a timetable of, oh, it's going to happen this weekend or next week or even next month, but it's going to happen. And when it happens, the GOAT's going to show y'all why he's the GOAT.
Well, he has to. I mean, he has to at this point. Look, I mean, and in the social media age and everything, things get accelerated. Doesn't mean you can't. I'm trying to think of the time between Takeover and Ether, and you know, there was a lot of time between some of those records, and I saw them playing. I think on Budden's podcast, Blueprint 2 the other day. And as a Jay fan, it's just like, why didn't he just wait and not put out Super Ugly and make Blueprint 2? Because if he had made Blueprint 2 the next record, he wins that battle. Because people forget when they look back on it, the Hot 97 interview was comparing Ether to Super Ugly, not Ether to Takeover.
So I got to ask you, man, because my perspective's a lot different. I'm a lot younger than you, and I grew up in the South. So when you say, oh, the J record's better than Ether, why is that? Because I quote Ether constantly. And when somebody says, oh, this bad thing happened to somebody, oh, they got ethered.
Yes, that part I agree with. I agree with Ether becoming part of the lexicon. You cannot dismiss that. And that's why ultimately Nas wins the battle, and you can't say otherwise. But you have to look at the words and the lyrics, because I don't think Ether is quoted that much. In fact, the only quote I think from Ether that sticks at all is Eminem murdered you on your own ish. Like the rest of it, you got whiskers like a rat. Rockefeller died of AIDS. That was the end of his. Nobody quotes your Tybo. You know, like nobody quotes that. The Takeover joints get quoted more than that. Like, you know, that's a one hot album every 10-year average. And that's so, I mean, J. Cole literally just quoted Takeover. And the Blueprint 2 joint, is it Uchi Wally or is it One Mike?
Yeah.
Is it Black Girl Lost or Shorty Owe You for Ice? You know?
Yeah.
Your little homie jungle is a garden to me.
I don't know, man. I gotta go. Me personally, I go with Ether, man, because it just, and then the beat is so iconic, dude. Anytime you hear somebody, like a lot of times you hear somebody do a diss record to somebody else, they do it on the Ether beat. You know, Remy Ma and Nicki.
But what does that have to do with what Nas said? Again, Ether has become part of the lexicon. Agreed. The beat, yes, I agree. People throw it over everything, but nobody quotes Ether.
I'll give that to you, man. I'll bow down to that one.
Danny Adams says Drake isn't scared to respond. I don't get why that narrative is out there. LOL. Well, I mean, it's out there until he responds.
Danny's a man of culture right there. Danny, you're my guy.
Until he responds, it's out there. All right, Kevin, I'll let you talk about this real quick because I know you're passionate about it. It was, you know, we're a little bit, maybe a news cycle past it now, but the CM Punk thing, I know you've seen my opinion on that by now. Obviously, they did a little bit better rating on Dynamite, which I think was to be expected. I just, I don't even have the energy to crush them over it. I'm not angry about it. It just came off. I mean, it's a harsh word, but kind of pathetic to me.
Yeah.
And it put CM Punk over. Like CM Punk was the draw, and they showed a WWE guy beating up one of their guys. And it just showed this like obsessive complex about it. As a big AEW fan, as I know you are, what did you make of it?
So before the footage aired, I was thinking, I said, because another background, I am a huge CM Punk fan.
Okay.
It's like from his ROH days, like I love CM Punk. So before this footage aired, I was thinking, I said, this is something I'm really invested in, something I really care. I want to see what it is. And if they're going to put it out there, it has to be something that was really, really bad. Right. And then when I saw it, I was like, it's pretty much basically what he said on Ariel Helwani's show. And for the first time in a while, I feel like it made AEW look minor leaguish, and that sucked. Because like you said, I don't think it did anything for the current guys on the roster. I think it just made CM Punk look better, and it made the people who love CM Punk more emboldened in their love for him, and the people that hate the Young Bucks makes them hate him more. I don't know what Tony was thinking, because I don't see it benefiting his company at all. Really.
Yeah.
It was awful, man. It was a bad night for the promotion that I love. And I wish I could take the neuralizer from Men in Black and erase it from people's minds, but it's out there, man.
Oh, Kevin, I always appreciate you're good at this, man, right? Like you can actually go back and forth good. Like sometimes,
I appreciate it, man. You've inspired me. I want to start my own thing. I just don't know where to go.
Well, I mean, be a correspondent here for a while until you figure out exactly how you want to do it.
I got you, man. I always thought that we could be like Stephen A. and Skip, because you're known on the internet as the pro WWE guy and the anti Drake guy, and I'm the pro AEW guy and the Drake lover guy. So we could be like that.
No doubt. And just a plug while we're talking wrestling, since I know I will be on with Denise later today. We're starting our SmackDown reaction pairing that we got going on at 10 p.m. Eastern time, right after SmackDown airs on her YouTube channel later tonight.
I will be there, man. I'm a fan of both of you guys.
All right, man. Kevin, appreciate it as always, my guy. Hold on. Were you going to say something before I dropped you there? Yeah.
No, dude, I was just going to say peace. That's it, man.
All right. All right. Peace.
All right, take it easy, bro.
Peace is always a good message. Peace and love. Peace and love. The other wrestling stuff I was going to get to quickly today, The Undertaker replacing Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania. That's the report, at least, as it was out there. And I got to say, Undertaker in some ways worked better. Because being in the building for that, here's a quick summation of the situation. Being in the building for that, we kind of expected Stone Cold Steve Austin. Triple H had put out that tweet, and everybody looked at the timestamp and said the tweet was put out at 3:16, so therefore we knew Austin was coming. And once all these various run-ins started happening, I was expecting Stone Cold. I was expecting Stone Cold to come out. No question. I was expecting it. And when that gong hit, I was not expecting that. And I cannot tell you what that was like, what that energy was like, what that moment was like in that arena. That was something, that was magic. That was, the kind of memory take with me till I'm a dead man. So I as much as I love Austin, and as much as I would have loved to see the glass break in that moment or during that match, I can't say I want to replace that Undertaker moment with anything. And the memes, by the way, are enough to, the memes are enough to give you the reason that probably even worked out better than Stone Cold would have worked out. I did see Dave Meltzer's star ratings, by the way, for those matches. And Meltzer is, I have no issue with the guy. You know, wrestling fans are harsh to everybody, and they've got a problem with everybody at a various point in time. And, you know, Meltzer gets a lot of crap, but I've talked to him on several occasions. Always been a nice guy to me. He's obviously carved out a lane for himself where he is a big enough figure that people are reacting to what he has to say. But he gave the Cody Rhodes Roman Reigns match 4.75 stars, I think. And I see this post saying, according to Meltzer, Adam Cole has 5 matches that are better than Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 40. I have to say, and this is not to crush him, I don't think there's a match in the history of wrestling, that is better than Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns was. That's the greatest wrestling match of all time. When you factor in everything that makes professional wrestling great, there was a great actual match. Roman and Cody went for like 25 minutes before the shenanigans kicked in. 25 minutes or so before the shenanigans kicked in. So you had that aspect of things. And Roman really pulled out all the stops, even hitting the crossroads and a perfect plex. And those two have beautiful chemistry. So you had a banger of a wrestling match. And then you had the spectacle that only WWE can provide. The spectacle that only, you could see in that arena and in that ring. And when Jimmy Uso, followed by Jey Uso, followed by Solo Sikoa, followed by John Cena, followed by Seth Rollins, followed by The Rock, followed by The Undertaker. I mean, that's the spectacle. So you had a great match, you had great spectacle, and then you had great storytelling. Not only did Cody Rhodes finish the story with Michael Cole saying it won, finish the story, but on top of that, you had the Seth Rollins callbacks with Roman Reigns. You had the Seth Rollins callback from Roman Reigns, which was just beautiful. Just beautiful. So if you combine wrestling match with spectacle, with story, that's 5 stars. And I don't think there's ever been a match better than that. Any other comments? Get them in. I just wanted to run a quick show to make up for not having one yesterday. Keep the feed and the channel rolling. I didn't want to otherwise, to have it dormant until Monday. I mean, we would have been fine. Everybody would have been okay. But you get the point. I just wanted to make sure I kept it rolling. Kevin's back with the comment. I have no idea what makes a match 4.5 or 4.75. I feel like decimal points are silly. I could go 4.5, or I think it should 4.5, 5 is cool. There's no need for 4.75. That's just a way to not give it 5 when it was clearly 5. That was there's never been a match that delivered more than that. And even before the match itself, the energy around that match was incredible. The energy was around that match was incredible. The Troll sent a tweet saying probably a good thing, because I don't think they will be proving anything this year. That in regards to the original topic, the first topic on the show today, which was LeBron and Steph playing with house money, which they are. And he's right. They're not going to do anything, which I said. I don't know why I didn't. I think it's because he commented under the video and not in the video itself. I'm not sure how exactly the comments work on X or Twitter and why I couldn't pull that one up on the screen like I do with a bunch of them. But yeah, any other comments, get them in. The only other thing I saw last night was what Kevin Feige had to say about Deadpool and Wolverine, which has to be the most anticipated movie in a long, long time. That's going to be a massive, massive movie. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. I mean, with X-Men 97 building the momentum that it's built, and you're getting Wolverine in the next movie, that's as good as it gets. That's as big as it gets. I don't think there's no way around that. People are gonna really, really be excited about that. And the X-Men are just such a huge property. It's really cool to see them back, as I've said on this show before. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you get the comments in, of course. I got a lot of comments going. My shorts do really well on there. I guess I've just mastered that format over the years. all of the ones I've done at SI, but the amount of engagement and comments I get on the shorts is really cool. So I'll respond to those as well. But of course, on this show, I want you to comment on the show as well, and give me your thoughts, and I will respond to those during or after the fact. Yeah, I had to catch up. Patrick De La Pena, have you been watching X-Men 97? Episode 5 was incredible. I mean, speaking of the shorts, I did do a little short on that, which, I'll pull that up for you real fast. I think I can find it. Yep, here we go. While we're here and just give you that, because it sort of sums up what you're saying about X-Men 97. Any reader or watcher should know that the X-Men are the greatest comic book property of all time with the best source material, which is why Marvel's Endgame may have not come yet, because betting against the X-Men is one hell of a gambit. Remember it. So, I mean, you got X-Men 97 is, it's not a surprise to me because how good I know the X-Men are. It's always my favorite comic book. Always my, the thing I was the most invested in. Always the one that I thought had the deepest meaning, the best characters, the best stories. Somebody commented on that short saying Spider-Man, and you can't argue. I think objectively speaking, who is it? LMAO.net 8188 said, "I'm sorry, and I know this is a basic opinion, but nothing beats Spider-Man. Ultimate Spider-Man in particular is my favorite run of the comics of all time, and I will stand by it until the day I die." And look, it's fair. As you know, all opinions are welcome on this show, whether they differ from me or not. That's fine. That's part of being a person. That's part of having thoughts and opinions. But I'll say Spider-Man, objectively speaking, has to be considered the greatest superhero of all time. I really don't know if there's a case for anybody else when you consider like the relatability of Spider-Man, along with his suit being so cool and his action scenes looking so cool, and everything that is Spider-Man. Spider-Man is the greatest superhero of all time. I think that's pretty much solidified. But when you go into the world of X-Men and you immerse yourself into the deeper meanings of X-Men, the allegories of X-Men, the wealth and breadth of the characters and the roster, and just how many great characters there are, that's where I think, and the stories, that's where I think X-Men wins the day. So it's not to say, I mean, as much as I like Wolverine, I won't argue that Spider-Man is better than Wolverine. And Wolverine was my favorite. So I won't argue that. But I will say the X-Men as a whole are the best property. And X-Men 97 is nailing it. They've got the tone just right. They've obviously got the fans engaged in the show and the series. So, yeah. Um, that's setting up for the next phase of the Marvel Universe, because Deadpool and Wolverine is going to piggyback off of that momentum that series has provided, that show has provided. Any other comments? Get them in. I'm not going to run a marathon show today. Just wanted to make sure I got one in, because I didn't get one in last night. So, like I said, you can sort of hear it now. My voice is starting to crack a little bit again, but I hadn't rested since WrestleMania ended. So last night, between the fact that I had kid birthday party and another kid activity and every which way in between, and not a natural topic, and it wasn't today wasn't like a day where I was like, I have to talk about this, but because I didn't do the show last night, I wanted to get in. I don't know if you call it a bonus episode or a makeup episode. I think, Kevin, they might debut the new MCU Wolverine in, he asked, when do you think they debut the new MCU Wolverine? I think they might do it in Deadpool and Wolverine. I think they might. I think they might show an alternate reality. Patrick De La Pena says, maybe I missed it. You're discussing it, but you really think Blueprint 2 and Takeover are better than Ether? Yes, I really do think that. I won't say they're greater than Ether, because Ether, again, it's become part of the lexicon. When you say somebody destroyed somebody else, you say they ethered them. When something like that happens, people play the Ether beat over the highlights. So I will not say that Takeover or Blueprint 2 are greater than Ether. Ether wins the day. But when you just talk about bar for bar and line for line, I do believe, yes, that both Takeover and Blueprint 2 are better disc records than Ether is. I mean, the Ether has, what lines stick from Ether? The one line that I think has some truth to it is Eminem murdered you on your own ish. And because Eminem did take Renegade. Jay's verses were very good on Renegade. But that may be Eminem's greatest performance ever. And when you have Eminem head-to-head with Jay-Z on the Blueprint of all records, and Eminem comes out on top, that's the line that's stuck. That's the line that's stuck. The rest of them were just name-calling and lame. Whiskers Like a Rat, Tybo Ho. What else did he say? He had things factually incorrect, like the Rockefeller thing. Like, the rest of Ethers doesn't hit to me. The lines themselves. I think people forget the time period that was in, where Nas's career was almost done and Jay was on top. And Nas felt like the underdog, and people liked the underdog. So I think in part because of that, people rallied behind the Ether record. They rallied behind the Ether record, and you saw what you saw there. And Nas, had momentum as a result of that. But the Hot 97 poll at the time was not Takeover against Ether, because Takeover has a lot of lines that stick. I mean, the one hot album every 10-year average is the most notable. But, that I thought the Takeover was a systematic takedown, and I thought Ether was a bunch of name calling. And then Blueprint 2, the problem with Hov on Super Ugly is he stooped to a level he shouldn't have stooped to. It doesn't, okay, so what? You were with Nas's girl. Like, all right, so what? Like, that's some schoolyard shit. That doesn't really, that's not rapper-ish. But Blueprint 2 is another systematic takedown. Is it Uchi Wally, or is it One Mike? Is it Black Girl Lost or Shorty owe you for ice? Like, who are you, Nas? And so I think if he had released that, and it's just a great song, at least the flute's on him, Guru, with the beat. If he had released that after Ether, I think Jay-Z wins the battle. Where he miscalculated is he got a little emotional, which is not typical for him. He got a little emotional and lost his cool. Patrick says, I feel like that line about one was a little off, though. Maybe just aged differently, but was written as now regarded as a great album, not a classic, but a good album. Well, he said the other one was I think he gave it was written the But the basic narrative around Nas's career at that time was that he fell off after Illmatic. Let's be real about it. It was the battle with Jay-Z that renewed Nas's career, that let him make the subsequent records like Stillmatic and Godson and those albums that boosted him a little later in his career. But I mean, even going back to Takeover, right? Went from Nasty Nas to Esco's Trash, had a spark when you started, but now you're just garbage. Your Bodyguard's Uchi Wally verse better than yours. Fell from top 10 to not mention it at all. Your Bodyguard's Uchi Wally verse better than yours. And then the story about On the Bus and the publishing and Searchlight Publishing, all that was hard. All that is better than the material on Ether to me. But look, respect to Nas. He got his career going after that, and then he had another late run. This run he's had with Hit Boy. DS Sai Sahande said thoughts on OJ. R.I.P. OJ. Yeah, I don't I'd hate to write his obituary. Here's the thing. OJ Simpson was a great football player. I didn't watch him, but his career, his accomplishments, his achievements would make that an objectively true statement that OJ Simpson was a great football player. OJ Simpson was also, some people are probably younger than me, and I'm just old enough to remember this, but he was, an American icon in many ways. He was very, the reason story of OJ and that line is out there, like, I'm not black, I'm OJ, is because of how white America friendly OJ Simpson was at the time, which is kind of ironic given the defense in his trial. And OJ was in the Naked Gun movies and was smiling, and everybody liked him. Everybody liked him, which is why the, accusation, what he did was so shocking to people. And look, as Danny says, he remembers the white Bronco chase that cut into the NBA Finals. That cut into the NBA Finals, the white Bronco chase. That's how big it was. And then there was like sort of a societal commentary in the black-white relations at the time and the verdict and how that was announced. And the problem was it did seem like some shady stuff going on in the investigation. At the same time, he almost certainly did it. He did it. And he killed people. And that's not something you can forgive or move past. And then he goes on and comes back out and, makes a stupid mistake again. Once you got away with murder. And then he's on shows with Cameron and Mace. I'll say this about OJ. I'm not going to wax poetic about a murderer. Not going to do that. But he is an iconic American figure. His story is an iconic American story. When you take into account his football career, his acting career, his murder of people, the trial, and the impact that had on American culture, and how much it's stuck in the fabric of society since. He's an American icon. Kevin, you said you have an OJ story. You still there? You're still there. If you have an OJ story, I got to pull you back on. You get if like this is a real life OJ Simpson story, because I'll hop back in the stream if you have a real life OJ Simpson story. We can end on that. We can end on OJ here today. If you have a real life OJ Simpson story, that's not something that I don't know. Who knows where OJ's been and what OJ's done? Like, I mean, he's a pariah for a long time, and I mean, it's not usually funny when somebody dies. Yesterday was kind of hilarious. OJ Simpson's death was a very funny death, all things considered, because of how complicated his life was, and because I don't think most people feel bad given what he did. But when you talk and you take into account the the impact he had. Yeah, Norm Macdonald did go. Let me see if I can find the Norm Macdonald joke. People were playing it. Is this an OJ joke? If not, it's just another Norm Macdonald joke. But yeah, he used to give it to OJ constantly. I think it's one of the reasons he got in trouble on SNL.
Thanks, I'm Norm Macdonald, and now the fake news. Well, it is finally official. Murder is legal in the state of California. Thanks, I'm Norm.
Real quick, I see Kevin's back. I'll bring him in here in 1 second. Let me just see if I can find the I think it was the ESPYs joke that Norm Macdonald had, and like the look on people's faces when he said it at that award show. Oh no, here's a compilation. Well, that's 3 minutes long. I can't play that right now. Where's the ESPYs joke award? Let me try searching by award. Norm Macdonald award. Yep, here it is. And then I'll bring Kevin on for his OJ Simpson story. Norm Macdonald.
And there's Charles Woodson. How about that? What a season he had. Great, man. He became the first defensive player to win the Heisman Trophy. And congratulations, Charles. That is something that no one can ever take away from you. Unless you kill your wife and a waiter, in which case, all bets are off.
Ken Griffey's face got me there. What up, Kevin? You have an OJ Simpson story?
I do. So in about 2002, 2003, I was about 7 years old. My mom, she took me to Vegas. Now my mom's not a big gambler or drinker, but she wanted to see what the hubbub is about, right? So we're on the strip, and there's this really big guy with really broad shoulders, and he had probably 5 or 6 women around him, every race you could think of, all right? And my mom, she looks at him, and she says, "That's him." And I'm like, at the time, 6 or 7 years, I don't know who this guy is. So I go up to him, and I'm basically staring at him, trying to figure out who this person is. And he sees me staring at him, and he says, "Hey, little guy," picks me up out of nowhere. I'm in his hands, and he says, "Would you like a picture?" I'm not knowing anything who this person is. All right. So he's holding me in his arms like a baby at 6 or 7 years old. My mom takes a picture. At the time, they had the small disposable cameras.
Uh-huh.
So my mom, she took a picture of it, and she says, "I can't believe that just happened." All right. Wow. So 10, 15 years down the line, I'm looking through a family scrapbook, right? And I'm not thinking about that experience because, like I said, at the time, I don't know who this person is, right? So I'm looking at the scrapbook, I'm seeing pictures of my family, and I stumble upon a picture of none other than Orenthal James Simpson holding me in his arms like a baby at 6 or 7 years old on the Vegas Strip with 5 or 6 different random women.
Wow. Do you have the picture?
It's in my mom's house, man. I gotta go through and dig through it, and I'll show you guys. But it exists, man.
I believe you, man. All right, that's a good.
All right.
That's a good OJ story. That's a good way to end it. OJ Simpson, American icon. R.I.P. OJ, I guess. OJ Simpson, not a Jew. All right, you guys like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you comment. I will get to any comments later after the fact as well. Just wanted to make sure I got this makeup episode in to make up for not doing a show yesterday. Check me out later tonight. I'll be on with Denise Salcedo on our YouTube channel, SmackDown reaction show. I'm going to be joining her every Friday night to react to SmackDown. So if you want more of the wrestling content from me, that will be a good place to find it. And then, of course, keep checking on the channel here. And I will, of course, keep the content coming, both in the short form and here the long form Robin Lundberg show, which should be back on Monday. Podcasts now available on Apple and Spotify and wherever else you get your podcasts. Sorry for jumping around with the times and the schedules, but appreciate everybody who could join me live. And again, like, subscribe, and comment. If you get on later, I will respond to those comments later as well. Have a great weekend, everybody. Until next time on this same Robin Lundberg channel.